And we're back. I hope you guys can hear me. Maybe let me know in the chat before we go right into it here. Looks like we're all good. Looks like everything's good. Whew! It's it's the reason for the season, I guess. When you're really starting to hit a target and hit a nose in the head, and you're really prime focused on something, you always or you're flying too close to the sun in some cases. You end up hitting some roadblocks here and there, and we're in a psychological, spiritual, digital war here in some ways, and so you end up either having technical issues, or you get cyber attacks, or you get just people in your world, for whatever reason, have to, the like energy vampirism is real, and there's people that can get in the way of things sometimes when you're really just trying to do what you got to do. But so right here with this technical whatever, like this is a prime example. I think like we've talked about it so many times of and even Desi was saying the other night. With the stuff she was dealing with doing the board of entertainment, there's so much that goes on in the background for truthers, for people that are really hitting the nose on the head and doing this kind of work that helps people connect the dots. That's not just talking about the things, but pointing things out on the bigger picture of it all, So this is just, it's all part of it. But yeah, you guys can hear we're all good. Papa Sprock, Mudskipper, welcome. Justin Felzone, THX, Hesky, Weibo, Lisa, go play outside. Welcome, guys. Catherine, Petra, welcome. Minnesota, you're from Minnesota, right on. What's going on in Minnesota right now? Things are kind of getting crazy there from what I hear. And with this Nick Shirley thing popping off and kind of going in on all these the local businesses, apparently it's getting a little testy and a little edgy over there. So I hope you're staying safe. Hope things are good. That all's well with you and yours. Right on. So anyways, we've got a few more dots have connected on the greater scheme of things. We were talking about the Sean Penn and the Madonna and everything the other night, so I went ahead and started to scooch those guys in there, which of course connects back to the Brat Pack, because Madonna and Sean Penn were an item for a time, and they connect back to, obviously, straight into Hollywood, the OG Brat Pack group from the 80s, and then, here we are, where that connects into John Hughes, and then that connects into the Macaulay Culkin. So we've started fitting that in there, because these are just some obvious points that do need to fit in at some point. It's just, where does it connect into this inner sphere that we're building? So we've got the John Hughes on there. We've got the Brat Pack, which of course then connects back to Rob Lowe, West Wing. Also connecting to Emilio Estevez, which of course connecting to this inner sphere, right back to First Kid with Brock Pierce, with Emilio, and so the story continues. It's all still just interconnecting. It's getting wild. Like, I think at this point I'm gonna have to start organizing a little better, adding more of these little nodes, and then connecting multiple threads together to one spot, so that it's a little more collected and a little more tidy in the way that I've started doing the Trumpstein map. I've also started like a director nexus too, a little bit, like just for my own. I don't know if we'll do I don't know how many different mind map streams we need to have going at the same time, because that is a lot. But there is this obviously is overlapping already in a big way to the Trumpstein mind map, and at some point, I mean, when we have the space for it, once the two spheres are complete, we can kind of scooch them in next to each other and then start connecting them together, because it does all connect in a big way. We know Trump, like, part of his inserting himself into the mind's eye was for a decade he was making cameos in these different movies, like Home Alone. This is where we come back to the John Hughes. Home Alone, the second one, Home Alone 2, I believe it was, Trump made an appearance in. And he literally, sometimes more than once a year, but at least every year for a decade, or maybe even more, if you look at his acting profile, and his cameos for like a decade. He was inserting himself into this sphere, with John Hughes being one of them. So this is where it all starts to kind of connect, as it is already, and we knew the connections were going to be there, so it's just a matter of time. But yeah, so I've been busy over here with this, and I mean, luckily, like, because I've been trying to get the Brittany Murphy video done, but luckily, like, obviously it all connects together, and this will just work easier to explain some of that sphere in the final episode of that, because that all connects in together as well. Like, it's a whole big puzzle, and all the pieces fit together. It's just figuring out where and how. So yeah, was he in the Little Rascals too? There you go. That's another big TW Theory movie, which I might start color coding those too, in the way that I have with Victims, Whistleblowers, everybody else in between. Let's see. Yeah, so maybe orange, because that's like big time. And then maybe like covert TW Theory ones will be yellow, I think. Something like that. Yeah, maybe we'll start doing that as I go through. Like, a lot of the ones that's what I've been mapping first. Like, these movies that already are like, just being in that movie was questionable. And then some of them had made, made allegations or had spoken out about trespasses and harms that they had faced on the sets of some of these movies. Like with Little Rascals, Bug Hall. And then also it being a very, like, it's a TW Theory movie. So we'll call that one orange. And then yellow will be like, we don't know if there's no accusations behind the scenes, necessarily, which actually there should be yellow. No, not necessarily accusations behind the scenes, but definitely fitting TW Theory. So I think that we'll start changing those over. This is definitely a big TW Theory movie. Start changing them over so that we can really see exactly what. Because I've already seen some people in the comments saying, oh, well, it's 6 degrees of separation. Obviously, you can connect these people by a movie or by a show or da-da-da-da-da. But that's not the point. It's the kind of shows. It's the kind of people surrounding those shows. It's the convicted predators, and them being invited back into the sphere shortly after. You know, we were talking about this the other night. With Victor Salva, and how he was able to just, like, it almost, like, launched his career of, okay, we did this movie, we went to jail for doing things to this kid, but then we come out and we're able to immediately work within the Disney sphere over here with Powder, and then he's given the Jeepers Creepers franchise, basically. This same guy, Francis Ford Coppola, backed the Jeepers Creepers franchise. He was, like, executive producer, I believe, and backed him financially for this movie that the kid had been, like, this was the cover, this was the front to make material of this kid, is basically what had happened there. And he did 15 months of a 3-year sentence, something like that, very similar to the Brian Peck situation, which is another example of that. So when you start mapping those things out and you start getting confirmations, like with this guy, the Buzzfield guy, and how he connects back to the first kid, Brock Pierce situation, which connects back to the OG of it all, that you hear people talking about the Diddy thing, the Epstein stuff, and yes, all of that connects too, but you don't very often hear about this. I think more people are catching on to this now. I am seeing people talking about the Victor Salva, talking about the Den, talking about all of this, but this is shit I've been trying to talk about for years. Like, some of my OG shit, my Dark Hollywood stuff, like, was all alluding to and slipping this under the radar to get it out to the general audience, like with the Charlie Sheen, with the Drew Barrymore video, like, essentially it was mapping this stuff out, but just, like, kind of under the guise of a Hollywood bio flick thing or documentary type thing, right? So all of this this is everything I've been mapping for years. This is everything I've been trying to talk about. Corey Feldman had tried to talk about a lot of this stuff and was getting shut down. There was the Open Secret talked about this sphere specifically, but a lot of these people doing these truther movies, even from within the Hollywood sphere, they face attacks, or they're getting silenced, or there's different things that happen to prevent them from getting the word out too, right? So if we can map all of that out and connect it together, the conspiracies of silence, the accusations, the people that were either had the settle out of court, which is basically like, okay, yeah, like, I can't fight this, and they're paying off a victim, or went to jail for it. Like, this is where we're going to start to see the patterns, the actual patterns of how it all maps across pretty much all of the videos I've been doing. And I've been trying, and I even started with the Dark Child Star Nexus series, which kind of goes in a little more on the bug haul, like trying to zero in on these clusters. Like the Charlie Sheen video zeroed in on this cluster and then how it connected back to other videos I'd done, so like the Johnny Depp and all these other videos, the River Phoenix, all these other videos, and then it all comes back to some of the same giants, some of the same Voldemorts, I guess, is kind of what we're calling it, because it's a lot of the people you're really not supposed to talk about. You're not allowed to talk about it. Can't talk about the wonderful Wizards of Oz. We have to pay attention to the Yellow Brick Road and never look at the Red Brick Road. They want you looking at all the song and dance and the glitz and glam, and don't look at all of the lost stars along the way. So anyways, this is where we're at. Where else did I add in? Oh, I added in more of the old Hollywood and how it branched into new Hollywood. So some of those big cats and dogs from back in the day. We got Cher on there. Cher fits in here. I filled out this web a little more. The Mermaids connects back in a big way. And the Addams Family, Christina Ricci, connecting to this company, which I'm gonna have to connect it up more in and through here. But which connects back in a big way to just this whole side of the depravity. And then connecting back to, we were talking about the Kathleen Kennedy situation too the other night, and how that all fits in, and how that was absorbed into the Lucasfilms, which is now absorbed into the Disney sphere, because they're all just like consuming one another now. All these, there's becoming fewer and fewer major companies that just own everything now. So it's going to get harder to map this stuff. But when you go into the history of it all, and then you see what was absorbed into what, it starts to give a clearer picture. I also started filling out the Marvel DC and how that fits in. And I had to move some more stuff around too. This Michelle Trachtenberg part of the sphere, I had to move around a little more to make that work with Paramount. So we're starting to get an actual sphere though, versus, because I kind of started out filling out this side of things, but we're starting to get more covered on the other side of things now, and this side I got to start filling out a little more, but it's all coming together. And I think, I'm pretty much at the point that I think we'll start setting it up so that you guys there will be a link. And it's probably going to be on Patreon. We were kind of talking about it the other night. But a link that you guys can access offline or online, but when I'm off stream, when I'm not live online, that you guys can access at any time, and not being able to change anything or do anything to it, but just to view it and zoom in, and you can see all the connections and do more of your own little investigation from there. So I think we're just about there to do that. I'm going to have to add some more notes in here, because I had put some notes and for whatever reason they disappeared. I think I needed to submit them, because now I put notes on another mind map and they worked and they stayed. So it's fine. We're figuring it out as we go. But the ways that this Matt Prokop, the former child star that was just arrested with harm material, and the sphere he was in, that's starting to get connecting back pretty much directly to Busfield in a way. Like it comes across. It was a tough one to get it to connect because of how far across the map it was, but it's 3 or 4 points away from Busfield. He worked with some of the same child stars that now he's been arrested for doing harm. And this kid's been arrested pretty much at the exact same time for creating harm material, for being the distributor producer of harm material. There's other bigger things going on now, I believe, and we've been talking about it since day one, that it's not only feeling a little Menendez brothers, but also feeling very, Donnie Darko in a way. And I think we're starting to see that part of it more clearly as these other dots are popping up and connecting back to this one major inner sphere, and how all of them, this one also we got to put as and I think there wasn't necessarily any main allegations, but we have whistleblowers closely connected to, and a dead kid. as a result of it. So maybe we go, actually no, let's keep that one yellow for now. But that's major. Like, that was the most disturbing example, one of the most disturbing examples of the TW theory, starting off like I posted it even before the Reiner thing happened. Like, this was early November. I'd posted the first installment of the TW theory, which it's a developing theory, and I'm gonna edit and add more things as I go. But yeah, so this is where we're at with that. When the Reiner thing happened, like, it just really it kind of confirmed a lot of the things that I'd sort of been alluding to and speculating in such a way, but with evidence and with showing the patterns and with showing the connections through videos. That sort of solidified it for me. Like, if like not even a month later, like just over a month later, we have the Reiner thing happened, which I was originally looking at it from the angle of River Phoenix, but now it being this situation involving Rob Reiner and the son, it's just like it's screaming in your face what's going on here, you know. And I guess we're gonna find out in the court of law very soon. And obviously, Alan Jackson felt very strongly, very passionate and confident that based on the discovery, based on everything he'd learned after that, like 3 or 4 weeks or whatever, that he was helping build the case, that he asserts that Nick isn't guilty of murder, that he's not what they're making him out to be in the press. And so and just the heat of that, the energy of that delivery, seems like, there's something there's a reason. Even if he did do the deed, there was a reason, and I can't really say exactly or make any accusations per se, but if we look at the patterns, you guys can decide what you want to think about it. Since Nick Reiner's already being tried and convicted in the court of public opinion, why can't we look on the other side of what maybe was going on here? Why he was like, if you just imagine, maybe he had come across a collection of videos. Then he's at the party asking people their names and if they're famous. Could it have been that he was recognizing people from said videos? Because we've got some close connections, and with what was going on with this guy and like him having the children's theater, which is they're literally in like a week running a Castle Rock Entertainment production of Misery at this guy's theater, at this guy's children's theater that also operates a children's charity type network. Like, there's something else going on there. I haven't dug too deep into it just yet, but like there's some weird shit going on there, and the way that he connects back to this child star, like the timing of these arrests and stuff seems very compelling to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, this guy, Timothy Busfield, they've been investigating that situation since November of 2024. So, and they had doctors saying like that there were signs and indicators, like all of these things had happened for them to start questioning the kids and nail down who the perpetrator was. So then the parents, they question the kids, they find out it's this guy. They made the report years ago now. This was, we're November 2024, right? So why did that simmer all of this time and then just now finally getting a warrant out for his arrest? Unless there wasn't enough evidence then, that maybe certain evidence has now been surfacing and they're starting to connect the dots from the back end, Now, there was like the raid at his house, and now that this is where it gets a little complicated, because it could have been that because they had sent the U.S. Marshals to go and collect him, and I guess he apparently was on his way to turning himself in, that was the U.S. Marshals showing up and looking for him, not doing a raid on his house. So there is also that possibility, but it's just the timing of it all, I think it's worth mentioning. And again, I'm not making any other accusations, but within this sphere, and the way it connects to this sphere, and the way it connects to this other sphere, it's like the passing the baton of corruption, and then you have the Epstein and the Diddy. It's all the same kind of networks for the same kind of firsthand getting involved with this situation, but then also the people making the material and distributing the material. And we know that was what was happening basically with this. Once this all imploded, this den situation, and this guy fled, he was caught in Spain with like a treasure trove worth of harm material. And with what had just gone on, and for how much money this kid's now worth, who was handling the digital currency and the cryptocurrency stuff very early on, and then this guy just took off. He was able to flee. He, like, during the trial had said, oh, I need this special brain surgery or whatever, and, like, went over to the UK to get the brain surgery, got over there, never came back, married an 18-year-old, and has been living a very lavish and cozy life. And if they had seized all his money, supposedly, and everything he had, and shut down the companies and whatever, where is it all still coming from, you know? And then this kid, this kid who connects directly back to Busfield with the first kid, it's like a 1 degree of separation. Like, it's fucked up. It's fucked up, and I can't say anything or accuse anybody specifically, but the connections are very compelling. Very compelling, because obviously when a drug distributor is busted and shut down, it doesn't mean the drugs stop flowing to the customers. It just means a different person steps into their place, you know? So maybe this guy, he's made his money, he's off, he's doing his thing, it's all done. But then we've got this kid, this kid over here, Disney, former Disney, and had been closely associating with convicted, who resulted in an early an early untimely death. We have Victim. We have connecting back to that main It's a Laugh Productions, which did dozens of kids video of Disney shows, which connects back to a studio that connects to some compelling things. So it's not just that we're connecting people. Like, I think I got to make sure that I make that clear, that we're not just connecting people to each other by movies and shows. It's very intentional shows and movies, and there's reasons behind that, and there's still more to fill in around that makes this a little more clearer, and the color coding is going to become a little more refined. I mean, I can't just shit out an entire map in a day, you know, like this is going to take time, and it's going to be a process, and it's going to be a group project at the same time too. Like, as I'm mapping it out and putting things together, you guys will see other connections that maybe I missed, or that, like, I didn't know of, whatever. So that's where we're at. I guess that's the introductory of the presentation. So let me catch up with you guys in the chat here. Sorry, guys. I'm very passionate about this, though, because this is really, like, I feel like there's enough confirmations and enough of the curtain being pulled back in a big way that we can talk about it now. Like, this is stuff, like, I've wanted to talk about it more openly and in such a way, but you just couldn't. You couldn't talk about this. Like, look what happened to ICAPI. Who was he trying to talk about? And then he forced himself off a bridge? Like, that whole situation's fucked up. And not that I agree with everything he said, or not that I believe that everything he said was true or fact, or, you know, not that all of our opinions and beliefs aligned in any way, but he was somebody trying to speak out on some things. He was encouraging people to think for themselves and to investigate and not just be regurgitating what they see in the headlines, you know? Because right away now, we're already seeing it in the way that they're framing this Nick Reiner situation, and, oh, his lawyer quit, his lawyer gave up on him, or, oh, and this, like, the way that they're painting that is completely different than what he said. Like, the lawyer literally had said it was beyond his and Nick's control, that it was a whole other thing. So what that says to me is it's a conflict. It's a conflict of interest. There's a good chance that one of the people that are now being subpoenaed, the 10 people being subpoenaed as a result of the arraignment's been pushed back now to February 23rd. And they're subpoenaing 10 people, okay? There's a good chance that the lawyer was already retained by one of those people prior to being hired on by Nick, and then I believe that would make that a conflict of interest, and that is a potential reason, not even just that the money was cut, because Nick has his own money. Nick has a net worth of between $1 to $3 million. Like, he has his own money also, like, from making the movie, from whatever else he does. I don't know what he does specifically. Like, it's not very clear. That part of it's not very clear, but this is part of why we're trying to map the shit out, right? But anyway, so, like, the way that they framed that and what he was saying, like, he's not completely dropping him either. He did assert that he would be assisting the public defender in building the case, and he'll be continuing to assist Nick and support him through this trial, but he can't represent him. That's the only thing. So, but he fully supports him, and he asserts he is so very confident that he is not guilty of murder in the way that they're framing it. That there is so much more going on. He's asserted that the truth will come out in the trial, and like the energy of that is like that he's disturbed by what was discovered. This would also explain why they needed a search warrant, like that first night when they were all kind of like scurrying around and scrambling around of how to frame it, because they didn't want to admit that it was Rob and Michelle just yet. They're like, well, the coroner's gonna have to decide, but like everyone kind of knew already, and they're saying they were waiting for a search warrant. But if they were summoned to the property to investigate a murder, why would they need a search warrant? For what? So, but if they had Nick apprehended at that point, and they were already questioning him, and he had said whatever he had said, like, oh, for example, and I'm not saying this is exactly it, this is not fact, this is not confirmed, this is just, we're just having a discussion here of a potential hypothetical, that if he had come across a video collection, that would be it. He's like, I lost it. I saw these videos, then they dragged me to this party, I started recognizing all these people, I was asking them who they are, and they were all these famous people. You know what I mean? Like, this would be a cause for a psychosis that would lead to a parricide. Like, this is what we're trying to figure out. There's a very good chance he did it. It's kind of seeming like that they're kind of confirming that, but they're, with the lawyer saying, no, it's not a murder, though. There's more to it. There's more truth that's going to come to light. Then we got, boom, BuzzFeed. Then we got, boom, this other former child star that's right in the thick of producing and distributing and being in possession of material. Also, we have the potentially what was a raid on Timothy BuzzFeed's home, but what also could have just been the timing of the U.S. Marshals getting there just after he had turned himself in. Like, that's also a possibility. We're going to also look at what may be a coincidence, what may be debunking this theory, because I'm not just going to go gung-ho on one theory or another. We're going to look at all of the different theories and potential aspects of it, and with referencing to the overall sphere, because that's responsible, ethical, moral reporting. We need to look at it from all sides and as neutral as possible, as you possibly can, when we're talking about this kind of darkness, because obviously it's easy to get heated and upset with everything you find out as you start to put all these dots together, you know. And I'm getting a lot of comments too of people really upset of like, don't pull back the curtain on my wonderful Wizard of Oz, basically, you know. And it's too bad. Like, it's hard. The uncomfortable truths are hard, but like we have to do it. The truth will set us free, you know. We're in a Avicii, Cornell, Chester, and Haish about to do, and Haish, yes, together but separately, like at around the same time but separately, which I've got to fit all that in. That's all on the Britney map, which I'm slowly fitting that in up here, because actually, here, let me bring it up actually, because I had started, when I first found this mind map thing, I had started with the Britney, but it was really messy too, because I didn't realize how the connectors worked and everything yet. Like, I was still just fiddling with it. But yeah, that fits in a big way, for sure. All of this is going to need to get onto the map, and how I'm going to have to fit it, because this person, Bijou, is already in the bottom here, connecting with all of this stuff. In here, oh, this might be too zoomed. Hold on, let me see. Like, that all connects into here, so the sci-fi-tology thing might have to go over here somewhere. I don't know yet, but I'm slowly porting this over here, because then Anne Heche, very closely connected here and here, and all these red ones are people that are no longer with us, and it was pretty suspicious. And all connecting back to like, this is how this started, basically, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to need a bigger map, I'm going to need to move things around, I'm going to need more space, right? And I get more organized. So this was like the early birth of it. And for a Brittany Murphy video, because I still have to finish the final episode of that, I was like right in the making of that and the final episodes of the John Benet Ramsey stuff in December when the Reiner thing happened. And then that just was like a domino effect of all these dots connecting. In my own research I've been doing from the get-go, like for several years now, it all started here. And I had been, like I said, mapping it and following it and connecting it through my videos within their inner sphere. And then with like, this is a whole major hub. I did this video. The Brittany Murphy connects back to that in a big way. And we kind of talked about that a bit more the other night too, of the what kind of benefit they both could have been to each other's lives, and why it seemed like that they were kind of abruptly separated from being friends after becoming like besties for this Riding in Cars with Boys. So they're finishing their series, kind of rely on each other too in a way, because they connect in a big way. But all of this stuff that I was trying to map out the whole time, now we have the technology. Now we have the technology to actually map it and put it all together so that you guys can see my brain on the wall or on the map in a more clear and comprehensive way. So this this is where we are. This is where we're at. But yeah, that's all in here. That's all in here. And I'm slowly filling in now these other spheres. Because, yeah, the Disney thing, it wasn't just Dan Schneider. There was several of them. Several of them. All in the same thing. And lots more of these kind of suspicious, somewhat unexplainable. This guy a little bit more, maybe not. This one's a little questionable because it was an epileptic thing, apparently. But... and then connecting in the Soda Pop Club, Corey Feldman, which connects right back to, so you can see where these parts are fitting on the outsides of these parts, right? Like you guys are seeing where I'm going to try to fit those things in, into this whole sphere, because then up here we've got, here it is, that Cameron Boyce, but what it connects to in a way, and then the Marty Weiss is over here, which I gotta connect him back to Corey Feldman too. So I might gotta, like, I've gotta have to organize what I've got going before I add too much more on, I think. Because that's gonna have to connect all the way back to down here. And that's gonna be complicated with the way I have it. So I'm gonna have to use more of these nodes, like how I've been doing now, like this. Here, I'll bring this one over too. I've started a different map also of more, like with the companies more laid out and a little more organized, and using these nodes. So it's a little more organized. So I might just do it this way and just completely redo it, then try to move everything around. I don't know yet. I'm kind of doing both just to see what's going to be easier. But this guy comes up a lot. Like, I'm starting to map out the lesser known parts of these, and how he actually connects back in a big way, right back to all of the, to the beginning. I'm going right from square one, and then, hold on here, we're getting away from it. And then just how this all connects in very closely to that inner sphere, back to the Stephen King, back to the icebergs of it all. This guy's ending up being a lot more significant than I even thought in the beginning. And then just mapping out these connections a little more. This guy needs to get on there. That was more the Drew Barrymore era. And then, yeah, like some of the major players of what other people have talked about. Like, I'm not just going to make any accusations. I'm just going by the collective consensus of what it seems to be more people have said things about people, or that have made the convictions, or whatever. There's other stuff going on here that we're going to try to make it as legally sound and safe and respectful as possible as well, because I don't want to be making any accusations or suggesting of any allegations against anybody that is completely innocent and they just happen to be within the sphere, and there's a lot of people. I'm really hoping that I don't make a connection that's going to change my heart about it, like I'm getting sick to my stomach every way I turn from the beginning of doing this, and the amount of my childhood has been destroyed throughout this it's atrocious, but it is what it is. But yeah, definitely that whole situation, and then how it links into the music industry. That I'll get there, but we're starting from square one. We're starting from the very beginning, the birth of the dark Hollywood, and all of where my research has taken me through all the videos, what it all connects to, how it all connects back to. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, the Brian Peck thing. Well, but a lot of people don't realize he worked all the way back alongside Leonardo DiCaprio, and then people wonder why Leonardo DiCaprio is a little bit weird, and but at least they're fucking adult women, they're adults, and then people want to make a big deal of that. Okay, but at least they're adults, right? But he also was surrounded by all of these very bad people. Like, this Bob Villard went to jail for possessing and distributing. This kid, which we just went over the den thing, he was right in the works of that. The Bryan Singer was very close to Brian Peck, who like, they were all surrounded. Brian Peck was in Leonardo's sphere, and Bob Villard, this guy, was the publicist, the agent and publicist for Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire and Brock Pierce. And how that all connects and how closely they are to to Charlie Sheen, how that closely is, and with Brian Peck, with Charlie Sheen fought for his employment to keep him on his show, Anger Management, which is FX Disney, by the way. Brian Peck, to keep him on, because I guess the executives had figured out that this guy was convicted, and then there were going to be kids around in the studio and on the set or whatever. And Charlie Sheen basically threatened to implode the project, like, if they wouldn't let him keep Brian Peck. So they're obviously really good buddies. Him and Bob Villard have a history. And then there's the accusations. It's just accusations. I'm not saying anything for sure. You guys make your own decision on that. You do your own research, draw your own conclusions. But it is believed by many, by some, and Corey Feldman has talked about it, and, you know, people want to have their opinions. He's obviously not completely innocent himself. He's got his history, but you got to look at the sphere he was growing up in and how many of his close friends and peers around him were dropping dead. That's a situation. That affects us. That affects somebody, you know? So the way that all connects in this sphere, and how Lucas connects back to this sphere and to these other situations, you know, it's compelling. It's compelling. I'm not saying it's confirmation. I'm not saying Charlie Sheen is guilty of anything, any crime, without being decided in the court of law of one way or the other, if it ever came up in any way, which I don't think it will, because even the own family, Corey Haim's own family, is in great defense of Charlie Sheen. And again, it's kind of a wonderful Wizard of Oz. Whatever, that's fine. People can have their opinions one way or the other. I'm not trying to tell you one way or the other what to believe. You decide. But that inner sphere of how it connects with Brock Pierce, he did all the Mighty Ducks movies. He was Emilio's, playing the younger version of Emilio. Like, the way that this all connects is compelling. It's compelling. All right? That's all I'm going to say on that. And let me catch up with you guys again here. Sorry. Natalie Wood. Yes, that's a whole situation. And Michael Douglas with Catherine Zeta-Jones, that's a whole other situation that obviously that fits right in here. Which, this is why I kind of have to redo it, because I've boxed myself in. Boxed myself in, and there's so many more dots to be added in here, and more like old Hollywood, right? Like going back to the Natalie Wood, which then Christopher Walken was there on the yacht that day, and the one guy, what was his name? Fucking Duncan or something? Not the pilot, what's it called? The sailboat guy. Fuck, what's it called? Captain. The captain of the yacht, or the boat, had come out trying to say, or maybe he wasn't the captain, but it was somebody that was working on the boat, had tried to come out and say some things about there being a argument, and there was something going on with Robert Wagner and Christopher Walken, and like she mysteriously fell off the freaking boat. There's so much more to connect with the Natalie Wood, which this is why some of the more obvious ones are not on the map yet. Like Macaulay Culkin's not on the map yet. Drew is there, but not quite fully connected in yet. You know, some of these ones, they're not there yet because it's like, it's such a big fucking hub of so many different things that I'll have to be able to work it in to connect it to everything. And now I already need to move stuff. I already needed to like pull this back, make more room, because now I'm seeing how tightly knit some of this stuff is and how many crossovers there are, and it's just making it complicated. It's making it almost too confusing and too much, and we don't want to be overwhelming people either. We don't need to be like mind-fucking people trying to figure this out, right? So how I've started moving this around and having the nodes this way, I think is going to make it a little easier, because then I can just grab the whole thing this way, but then still leave this over. Like, it'll just make it easier to have the room to do it and to make it make sense without it getting too cluttered in any one sphere, which it already kind of seems that way over here. I'm going to maybe have to move this around even more, but like move these up, move them over. But I think having this way might be better. So I'll probably take some time and port it over before, like I said, before adding too many new things, because of how, like, I'm going to need more room. I'm going to need, because I have to fit all this in. How am I going to fit all this in when they're almost at the opposite ends of the board too, kind of? Not so much. Like, I kind of was trying to pre-plan But where Sony and these things and all of this connects, it's, like, I'm going to end up boxing myself in that way too, you know what I mean? So we're going to need to make more room here, because this is over here, this is up here, you know, and then we have all of this over here. This freaking guy. I'm not sure what to put him as yet. He's kind of like I don't know, he's uncodable right now, but we're going to come back to that. But this whole sphere, and then the Menendez of it all, let's talk about it. Like, it does directly connect in with all of this also. It's part of the map. It's part of it. So I went ahead and put in Jose Menendez and his buddy and Menudo, because even before the Menendez brothers, there was Menudo, and people don't want to talk about that part, and they're still sitting in jail for what they literally tried to tell everyone what was going on. And that connects back to this sphere, which connects back to this sphere, which connects back to this fucking guy, which, you know, and these fucking people, fucking rest his soul. This poor guy that nobody wanted to listen. That when this guy was talking about, here, I don't know if you guys can see this, hold on. This guy was talking about this guy. This kid reached out. Like the day before, a day or two before, on Twitter, reached out like, hey Kanye, let's talk. And then he died. Pretty mysteriously. I think people pretty much still believe it's a little mysterious. But I've also added in some of the other big cats that, like Voldemort's, that we're not supposed to talk about. But we're going to talk about them. We're going to get there. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Because let's keep Bieber here, at least, and not have him turn red. We want more oranges and less reds. It's okay to be orange. It's okay to talk about orange. It's okay to talk about the orange. And we don't need to sit here and talk about that they're spoiled, rotten, rich kid, blah, blah, blah. Fame got to them, No, there's a clear pattern here. There is a clear pattern here, and we know as a trauma-informed society that mental wellness and self-medication is due to some kind of complex trauma in childhood, usually, mostly in childhood, but in general too. And the map is here. The map is mapping, and it's all connecting. So let's keep Bieber orange. Let's keep Britney orange. Let's see it for what it is here and start mapping it out and start understanding the connections in here and what these pipelines are and who connects back to what, because the Britney and the Ashton and the Sean William Scott with the Dude Where's My Car and all of that, I got to fit that in here too, but that connects right back all the way to here too. Like the way that so much of this is all interconnected, but then connects back to the Diddy of it all. You know, it's 1 to 2 degrees of separation from all the rot and infection. And so maybe by doing this map, we can find and identify the origin points of the most rotting infections. So we can start cleansing the wound and we can start having less oranges and reds and yellows. Because yellows are the whistleblowers. We can't, like, not necessarily whistleblower, but there's something going on there. There's something going on there because Sweet Life hired on Brian Peck right after he got out of jail. That's the other one, like same as the Victor Salva. It was like 15 months of 3 years, something like that. Similar. Immediately after is hired on by Sweet Life of Zach and Cody with 2 twin boys just a bit younger than what the age was of the young boy that he had gone to jail for. Like, what? You know? And then he went ahead and started doing awful things too, and it was all burbling up. But then eventually he came forward and spoke about it, so he's also an orange. I need to put an orange ring around because he's also the victim. Not that it excuses the later behavior, but when you can look at how he grew up, oops, that's not what we want. How he grew up and what he grew up around and what was normalized around him, it's almost like part of the pipeline of how they can create them. They were trying to make him into like that Matt Prokop kid or something like that, you know? Okay, hold on. There we go. So where this guy became compliant within the system, and this kid, Brock Pierce, wherever the fuck he is over here, he became compliant within the system, even though he also was a victim. He became very compliant in the system. But then, this kid, instead, this guy, he realized he has a fucking problem. He was doing drugs. He was doing all the bad things, going all the wrong route. Then he came out and openly spoke about it on the Quiet on Set, which, by the way, that's all in the Charlie Sheen video and in the, like, Amanda Bynes video. This is all stuff I kind of had pointed it out, and it was just speculation then that he was the kid that Brian Peck had gotten in trouble for while I was building these maps. Hold on. Like, and you can go back and check it. You can go back and check it if you don't want to trust my connecting now. Trust my connecting before and how right it was. How it was connecting all back to this. So I had suspected that Drake Bell had been the child victim, but it was not confirmed. Like, and that was years ago, but it wasn't confirmed until he said it himself in the Quiet on Set documentary. But it's my belief that every drop of the ocean of influence counts, and I think the fact that just people were talking about it more openly and more caringly and more trauma-informed and being like, no wonder he's doing this right now and having all these problems. Look who he was surrounded by. Look what's happening with Amanda Bynes. Look what's happening with Britney Spears. All of that stuff, right? And how it connects back to this guy. And then all these people are talking shit and wondering why this person is withering away and having a fucking hard time. And how this guy connects back to this fucking green guy in the middle. Yeah, let's talk about it. Are we going to talk about it, you know? But anyway, seeing all those connections then, in my brain, I was like, okay, well, it's not the Sprouse twins because they were too young. It had to have been. And sure as shit, 2-3 years, whatever later, the Quiet on Set documentary comes out. But, of course, they kind of got silenced too because they started getting into this. How many of them... And look at who this guy is. I want you guys to just on your own, privately, you can go look who this guy is now, and look at the connection he had to the Amanda Bynes situation, and the whole situation, and how many people convicted, like either allegations and settled or convicted people were in this sphere, and how they all connect together, okay? That's going to be your own little homework. You can go look into that yourself. I'm not going to say anything else on that. But knowing that, years ago, I've been trying to talk about this for fucking years now, and it all connects into here, so we're going to connect that all in here too. We're leaving lots of room over here. But, you know, all these main points confirmed that for me anyways. Like, that was my feeling then, and then it was confirmed with the Quiet on Set, which was great. Like, I think we need to be able to just talk about it. Why can't we just talk about it so then people can make informed decisions about what kind of media they want to support or what kind of directors or producers or whoever, companies they want to support? You should be able to make an informed decision on that. You should be able to know their facts. You get all the car facts about your used car, but you can't get all the facts about people we're supposed to celebrate and idolize. How about we get more facts on the celebrated and the idolized? Because I don't want to. I don't want to celebrate and idolize anybody, really, anyway. But if we're going to, if that's what people want to do, maybe we should have a better idea. And then maybe we could treat the people, the most talented people that have suffered the most, better so they don't become red dots. You know? Maybe we start to understand why they're so fucking weird. Like, if they're being weird, or they're acting crazy, or they're acting whatever, or erratically, or getting in trouble with the law, like, maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's something going on, and the whole, like, you know, speak no evil, hear no evil, see no evil thing, like the symbolism and the covering the one eye, the blind eye, turning a blind eye, like, you know, maybe there's all something to that, and not to be too conspiracy theory, just like how many blind eyes are turning that allow all of these things to happen, like, and convicted for sure things. Like, well, let's even just, you don't want to believe some of the suspected things, let's look at the for sure things. And then see who is choosing to still support those people, and how closely they are related to other people that work in the same sphere, that create media for kids, or work closely with children. You know what I mean? Like, this, we should at least be questioning that. If your good buddy that you have a company with is supporting a convicted predator in his career, maybe we should be wondering what the fuck is going on and why Jake Lloyd's all fucked up now. Apparently schizophrenia and all this stuff, and had trouble with the law and drugs and the whole fucking thing. Why do we have an orange dot over here and an orange dot over here, and nobody, if we talked about this, we can talk about this, but why can't we look at this and talk about all this in here? And then how closely it connects, because this guy was having an affair with this woman who wrote E.T. This woman wrote E.T., and she did a lot of the early work. She wrote for The Iceberg, for a lot of things. And so there's 2 degrees of a separation from what the fuck is going on here with all of these people. And how is this guy, why was he still welcomed right back into the industry and working within the Disney sphere immediately with this movie and then handed a franchise? So basically all the material he wrote while he was in jail could get out to the fucking public. Why, like, and literally, what was it, like the 3rd one of Jeepers Creepers, I think? He got fired because he was trying to slip in an advocacy joke, like a P3DO advocacy joke of like, oh, it wasn't so bad, I get why, or whatever, like some kind of joke of like a blame the victim, make you feel bad for the predator type thing. Fucked up. So finally people are like, okay, no, this fucking guy needs to go. He needs to, like, settle the fuck down. Because, you know, this kid trying to scream it at the top of his lungs for however many freaking years wasn't enough. That wasn't enough. The child victim standing outside the fucking, these facilities, protesting this fucking movie, and Disney being like, oh, well, we didn't know. We just didn't know. Oh, you're going to have a guy come work for a company that involves children that may or may not have children on the set because part of it was filmed at a school that may not have child extras, and you didn't know. You didn't think you should look into that before you hand a guy money and all the equipment and all the people and all the shit. Like, you didn't think. Like, these guys fucking knew, though. They didn't know. Plausible deniability, fine. These guys fucking know, right? So where do we go from there? No more red dots. Yeah. See, Angie knows. All right, let me catch up with you guys again. I'm sorry. Getting carried away, but like this is what I've been trying to scream at the top of my lungs, but covertly and as safely and under the radar as possibly, because I don't want to die. I like my life. I'm happy with it, and I have no reason to be wanting to put myself in any danger. I do not want to be in danger. So, okay, hold on. Let me catch up. Oh, I'm getting way far away from you guys. Sorry. Yeah, Corey Feldman's on there. Polanski, that's an obvious one, and he fled kind of very similarly. He's gonna have to fit in. Like, this is why I have to start the director nexus and start mapping out all of that this way, because it's already getting too all crowded in the way that I'm doing it. So I'm starting a fresh one, and all of that's gonna have to go on there, obviously, because that connects all back into here in a big way. So, but the Polanski's the obvious ones, you know, like a Macaulay is an obvious one to get on the map. So, but he is such a big hub that he needs room. And so I've started putting in a spot here for it, which there is enough room over here, I think. But how it connects back directly, basically, to the Dead Network also in a way. And then John Candy is another red dot I need to add on here. Which actually, let's just do that right now while we're here. But I don't, like I said, I don't want to be adding too many more dots on until I have the bigger map laid out so that I can keep track better and have more room for all of the bigger hubs, because some of these kids are a big hub of the truth, and the fact that they made it they made it through to the other side in one piece is a freaking miracle upon miracles. And like, he's almost just finally coming back now, like having his actual comeback now and coming out of fully out of retirement, and like made peace, I think, with his childhood, whatever happened, doing the John Candy movie. The documentary, the I Like Myself, or I Like Me, John Candy, or whatever. So good. Anyway, Polanski, yeah, that one's an obvious. Not necessarily. JonBenet, okay, that, between the Madeleine McCann and the JonBenet, people do believe that's Ghislaine in the background of the photos and the sketch, which maybe. But some people have debunked and said that Ghislaine was proven to be elsewhere during those times. Okay, perhaps. You know who looked a lot like Ghislaine way back in the day? In the 90s? Michelle Reiner. Look up Michelle Reiner in like 1997 and look up Ghislaine Maxwell in 1997. Just do that. There's another little homework for you. Just have a little look-see and see about that. And yeah, well, Steven Iceberg, that's a Voldemort. We don't say that here. Don't even use it. Don't even use that language here. That's the Steven Iceberg. And yeah, there's a lot going on there too. That's already getting. I'm already boxed in there also because that connects very directly back to the den, very directly back to the den. His company Amblin and DreamWorks or whatever. No, it's DreamWorks with this guy, but then Amblin, if we look back to like there's whatever. But this fucking guy was a direct investor, one of the initial investors, and he's a fucking guy. He's a fucking guy. All right. And he connects directly, which actually I'm gonna have to fit him in more in and around better also. But this is where I've boxed myself in, right? Because there's way more connections than I even knew that I'm discovering as I'm going to the places to connect the other dots that I do know about. I'm finding more dots along the way, and you guys have been suggesting some. There was one movie that I wasn't thinking about. Where was it? Money? No. What was it? Fuck. I can't remember what the one was now. Because actually, I don't know if I got in on the map, but it led me to the Milk Money and Money Pit, which linked back very tightly to this upper sphere. Fuck, where did I put it in? There was another one. I can't remember what it was called, because it's one I hadn't heard of and I hadn't seen. Shit. I have it in my notes somewhere, though. I'm going to have to get that on there. Blank Check. Blank Check, that's the one. I'm going to put it on there now. Hold on. Where's my notes? Whoever mentioned, I think it was like a couple of you guys actually too, had said something about Blank Check. So any of you guys, and even if I didn't see it, but you did mention Blank Check, kudos. That led me to other things too, because that is a pretty friggin' weird movie. That is a TW Theory movie in a big way, and he connects in some weird shit. And then that, like I said, that popped up some other connectors to the map of the bigger map. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, that was like, oh, okay, those are significant dots that I can put in right away, you know what I mean? But the Blank Check movie is a little bit more to the side, but it's like, on its own, it's like normalizing and it's weird. But that led me to Milk Money, which I almost thought is a little weirder. But that's the one where they're saving up all their milk money, all these kids, to go rent a woman of the night to see her boobies. Cool, yeah, I get, 10-year-olds, they want to see boobies, I get it, but, like, that's the whole premise of the movie, is let's get our money together and find our way downtown to find a lady of the night and rent her so we can see her boobies. That is so much danger. That is so much danger. And the way that they glamorize it, and then the one kid's dad ends up, it's a love story now, too. Very, like, Pretty Woman, how they try to glamorize and glorify sex work. Yeah, kind of like that. But then with kids, right? So I was like, oh yeah, that fucking movie. That's right up in there. But the Blank Check, where did that connect me into? Oh, maybe I did throw him in. This Rupert Wainwright. That's the Dream Child. Yes, I did throw that in. Okay, so I didn't put Blank Check on yet, but I did throw in the Dream Child. Because that's fucking weird. Pretty sure I did. Hold on. Or I meant to, but I was getting tired, so maybe I didn't actually get that far. Hold on. The Dream Child of 1985. Also a fucking... What the fuck? What the fuck? You guys. Ah, shit. Where did I put him? I wonder if I can just... Haha. Yes, I can. Haha. Ho, ho, ho. Yes, we can just search like that. So much better. Cool. He connects right in deep. Right in deep. With, I did add Blank Check. Boom. Okay, cool. We are on it. Right on. But that connects back to some other stuff over here, too. So I think that's as far as I got. And then I'm like, hey, now I'm tired. But then again, too, also this whole sphere, how directly close that links back to this sphere. The Sure Thing, the first one other than Spinal Tap, which connects back to this fucking lesser known guy, which connects back to this fucking guy, which connects to this guy, all these guys. And then this fucking guy. This fucking guy. Anyway. I think, yeah, let me catch up with the chat more. I think it's starting to come together at least here. Poltergeist. Yep, that's on here. Yep. Where are we? Hold on. Nope. I moved it. 1 second. I had to move it. Oh, there it is. This, I had to make more room because there's more dots, more red dots to connect. There's more red dots. And that connects directly back to the Drew and the iceberg of it all. In a big way, too. So, I need more room for that. I have to pull that whole side out more. Because that's a cursed movie. We're almost going to need, actually, let's make it dark green. Yep, Poison, cursed. It's a cursed movie. It's cursed something. I'll make this. Maybe, and then that kind of fits, because that's what, yeah. Something, there's some cursed thing going on with Pasternak, so we'll keep them green. They're like the Wicked Witch of the West. And we're going to follow the red brick road and not get distracted by the yellow brick road, right? Cool. Oh, Hollow Crow, good to see you, man. Except late for supper, weird, yes. Yes. Well, and that's where this guy comes into play. Except late for supper. Good point. That literally, and I'm just talking about it, so this is perfect. Where the fuck did it go? This guy. This is the distributor of the... Oh, I have access to all these drugs you'd never heard of before. I don't know, blah, 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 blah. Which connects directly back to this. And if you look up Barundaga, I think I have to look up the spelling, but Devil's Breath. Look up Vice, Devil's Breath, Colombia. And tell me about that. Go watch that sometime. That's your homework. Watch that. And you will start to understand some more about how these people handled these people. And everyone in between. Because guess what? He, like I said, connects back to all of this. And what's going on? What's going on right now? What's going on right now with her, right? No, I don't have Carrie Fisher on there yet, but that connects over here in a big way. I have Carl Reiner, because that connects to this company, the DesiOverzealous company, which Rob spent a lot of times at their studios when he was growing up, and that's the same, well, one of, because there's a couple studios, but one of the studios that hosts a bunch of the Disney shows that keeps coming up in different blind items and rumors and gossip, but we don't know for sure. But there are dead people and people that got into drugs that are in that sphere that sort of tells a tale, you know, like this whole situation right here. But Carl Reiner's on here, obviously, yeah, like I have to get him in there too. And then he obviously connects back to here, but he's more on the outer sphere. But then Carrie Fisher, because that's from Star Wars, right? That's, I'm pretty sure I'm thinking correctly of who you're talking about. She would be over here somewhere. So I'll have to, like, put her somewhere over here, and then, like, I'm going to have to just redo the thing and with the nodes, because that's going to be the only way to be able to make the actual, like, sphere work. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just getting complicated, and it's going to be too much. It's going to be too much overlapping that's, like, too messy, like this, all of this extra. Like, we can clean this up and make it better. But there's a lot of dots, a lot of red dots and orange dots to add in all of these places. Like, these are all very intentional movies and people and things. Like, this is all very intentional. It's not just totally caution of the wind, blind into the night, you know? Yeah, like Corey Feldman's been facing all kinds of attacks and problems, and, you know, like, he's OG that way, where even before it was all on the internet. But then when he tried to do his My Truth movie, they had cyber attacked him, and he was saying there's different recollections of exactly how it went, but I think he was DDoS attacked when he was trying to do, like, the live premiere thing or something like that, like some kind of heavy duty hacker type attack to try to prevent his My Truth movie from premiering, and then the website crashed, so people couldn't, like, it was just a whole thing, right? Like, and that was earlier on in how digital warfare takes place. And I think more and more people are starting to understand that now, but I think there's so much more to it too that goes on that just people don't really talk about, because it's just like your average day-to-day as a truther, you know what I mean? Like, but then big events like that where, yeah, somebody tried to run him over, he like, there was some other physical altercation at one point too. There was a few different circumstances. Like in 2018, there was a situation. It's almost like part of it. It's part of what you know. Like, that's the you're accepting of that going to be part of it when you get into heavy duty truthing. Lucifer Valentine, no, what a name. Is that some, like, what are we, like, is that an actual fucking person? Some people that are just outward about it, like, at least they're not being a secret about it. What is this? Slaughtered Vomit Dolls. Surrealist exploitation psychological horror film? What the fuck is this? What the fuck? And this is Canadian? What the fuck is going on up here? Holy shit. Okay, I'm gonna put a pin in that, because I don't really know where that's gonna go right now. What the fuck? That's like a very... Starring Amira LaVey? What the fuck is that? At least they're fucking upfront about it, though. Like, the whole... Your name's Lucifer Valentine. Oh, Lord. See, like, at least those people are upfront about it, though. Like, they're open about what the fuck they're up to. It's the people that pretend that they're good people that I'm more scared of, to be totally honest. Like, people want to keep talking about the Satanism of it all, but you don't need to be a Satanist to be a sadist and to be sexually depraved. Like, let's be so for real. There are more people that are, like, going to church every weekend or whatever, every week and doing the thing and running charities and doing all these wholesome, nice little things in the community, like this fucking guy, to paint themselves in such a nice light. Oh, we're so great. Everything's so good. We're so full of goodness. Because they're not. You know what I mean? Like, I'm more afraid of those kind of people that paint themselves as good people. Talking about parenting, lecturing all these... This guy, too. Like, okay, we're talking about this guy, but talk about all these parenting videos, lecturing people about their parenting style and how that leads to substance abuse, crime, violent crimes. Everyone, he literally said it back in 1998. Everyone in jail for a violent crime had a nightmare childhood. Cool. So while your kid was a kid and you were lecturing everybody about what to do to be good parents to their children, what the hell were you doing to yours? What the frigging hell? That caused him to be shell-shocked at 7, using heavy narcotics, dependent on heavy narcotics by preteens, and then is now the prime suspect of parricide in his early adulthood. What the hell is going on? You're not a good people. I don't think you're a good people. You know? Like, it's hard to believe that that's a good people now, you know? Pre-code Hollywood, yeah. Yeah. See, you guys know. Yep. Sody Pop Club? Well, that's over here, yeah. Yeah. I have to make room to fit it in, though, and it connects back to all kinds of other stuff. That's over on this side, and I'm slowly, like, because it's all different sides of the sphere, this all fits in differently and then crosses over. It's going to have to fit in somewhere, probably in here. Somewhere right in here. But yeah, like I said, I've started boxing myself in, so I have to pull everything, and get it. Tom Hanks is on here. He's on here. Oh, he's on here, all right. In a big way. He connects some of the big guys. But yeah, so this is where I'm gonna start making it a little more organized, because now that most of the brain is on the map and, like, I know what's still left to do and how much room I'm gonna need, and then to leave enough room for new things popping up and confirming. But yeah, Alfie, that is a big deal in here too. That's somewhere going to be right in and around, and probably linking back to this if I know what's going on enough. Mel Gibson has an interview on Walken. That's interesting. I'd be interested in that. I'm going to put a pin in that. 1 second. Or at least do a search, because I'm going to have to... Yeah, we're going to put a pin in it. Okay, I think I found it. I think I found what you're talking about, and if not, the next one down is. Joe Kennedy was very shady, and that Berg that went to prison. Joe Kennedy? Okay. Is that any relation to Kathleen Kennedy? I wonder, and the Kennedy Marshall side of things? Oh, there's a few of them. Are you talking about senior or the third? Former diplomat, special envoy. Probably both of them. But you're talking a different side. You're talking more like the... Is this politics? Fuck. Everyone's a politician. It will fit in there somewhere, because Reiner was very heavy duty in the politics, and that's part of what... Oh, in Harvard? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what connects Tommy Lee Jones back to he was dorm mates with Al Gore, so he heavily supported his running for president in the year 2000, and both Reiner and Iceberg and a few other people were also supporting Al Gore at that time. So he probably fits in there somewhere. I don't know where yet. I'll put a pin in that too. I don't really care for the politics of it all, but as far as putting the dots on the map, we do have to go there. So, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah, yeah, they were. Joker, no, the Menendez brothers knew. Well, yeah, and they were. And it was probably part of the anger that it's not even just happening to them, it's happening all around them. You know, like, that's the kind of stuff that, like, I think that's what ignites and activates a lot of people that are a survivor of complex trauma. It's seeing it happening to other people too, and they don't want people like that's how that's the extreme level of empathy you can reach on one hand. Where there's the other hand where you become the evil that harmed you and trespassed against you. There's those people also, right? But on the other hand, there's the extreme empathy where it's like once you start realizing it's going on everywhere around you, that's what activates you. It's not that it happened to you; it's knowing that it's still happening to other people, right? And some of the strongest, biggest, loudest voices of it were survivors, right? Yeah, Weinstein's got to get on here too, but he's more in like the adults section, like, and I've started throwing in some of those in, like the dark pink is adult, it's allegations by adults, but still not great, still not good. But you know what we're mapping mainly is harms and trespasses against kids. There's a new Heather O'Rourke doc. Interesting. No, I didn't see that, but I think, you know, they're going to be working overtime to try either to get the truth out on one hand, like this is part of it, this part of this whole, like this battle of good and evil is, you know, people trying to push for the truth and then other people trying to silence or dispel it or go against it, you know. Trying to suppress it. Sarah Silverman, I know she fits in here somewhere. She said some weird shit. I gotta get Chrissy Teigen and John Legend on here also. He's like, there's some pretty obvious ones. It's just knowing where to stick them in too, because they have to, some of them have to connect to so many different things. So making sure it's not overlapping in a way that is, you know, like there's a lot more going into how these all fit in properly and nicely together. So there's that. Then this is why I'm going to have to move the whole thing and kind of start fresh and put it all in together. Yeah, I think it, like, there's a lot of inner circles, there's secret societies, there's, like, you know, college roommate type alliances, like there's all different kinds of alliances, whether it's by race, culture, language, religion, organization, it doesn't really fucking matter. Are they into children or not? Don't really care. Like the rest is, it doesn't matter. It almost does not matter. The tribe is, are they doing harm and trespassing against kids? Are they participating? Are they a bystander? Are they allowing for it? Or are they a victim? That's what we need to look at. It doesn't really matter if they have a big hat, small hat, or if they're Catholic, Christian, Satanist. None of that actually matters. It's, is there enough evidence to map that they're doing wrong things to kids, you know, or not? Like, because it doesn't really matter what you want to believe. There's good and bad in all organizations, in all religions, in all sects, in all languages, in companies, and whatever. There's good and bad people. There's corruption, and there's people trying to do good. There's a lot of people like go into like child protective services, for example, trying to do good things, but then they realize they're overworked and underpaid, and there's a lot of blind sides and red tape and bureaucracy that's preventing them from being able to do justice for a lot of kids. And so they're working against a system and not the evil powers that be necessarily. It's the system that protects them. And that's why some of these evil powers that be, like Victor Salva, for example, he's able to go and do bad things and harm and trespass kids and still be supported and welcomed back with open arms into the industry. Like, because there's a lot of corruption and bad things and bad people that they could be the nicest people down the street, neighbors, you would never think, but then they're doing awful things behind doors where happy little wreaths are hung. You know, they seem so nice. Oh, perfect Wonder Bread land. Every slice is the same. We're all so nice. No. No. Yeah, Mackenzie Phillips, that's going to fit in here somewhere because Bijou, which also needs to tie back to the Scientology thing though, right? Like over here, I was showing you guys. That fits in all here. And then with Ashton Kutcher, which is now complicating things. And why I have to start this and make it a little more organized because I've got Ashton Kutcher all the way up here and connecting back to the Den and to Brittany Murphy and Chad's World. Sean William Scott, and then where did I put Kutcher? He's in here somewhere. I lost him now. Shit. Oh, maybe I moved him over here. I could probably search it there. Dude, where's my car? Okay, I did put this. Dude, where's my car? Connecting back to Kutcher, and it's literally 1 degree of separation away from that show, Chad's World, that was one of the first shows Den produced. This, because they were making shows. It was a front, but they were making shows, and one of those shows was Chad's World, and Sean William Scott, that was one of his first big breaks. And then the next was working with Ashton Kutcher on Dude, Where's My Car? And it's just like literally 1-2 degrees of separation, and then in that same, there's more connections to make on that. I don't even know where I put him. He's in here somewhere. But to be able to make it all make sense, like, I'm gonna need more room. Like that's just what it is, unfortunately. But we're getting there. We're getting there. But then yeah, so that somehow it needs to connect back to the Danny Masterson and to the Bijou Phillips, Mackenzie Phillips, Mamas and Papas, because yes, that goes on here. That needs to go on there. Very, very most definitely. And like, now maybe she's going to realize, though, that her picker is off. Because she was supporting Danny Masterson pretty much until he was, like, convicted. And she was very against the sister making the claims about the dad. And she was like, no way, that wasn't my experience. So that didn't happen. Cool. I bet you feel differently now. And we'll be a little more supportive of victims. Maybe start with your sister. Maybe let's start there. We'll forget all the mistakes you made trying to support this fucking rapapist. And maybe you can start supporting your fucking sister against your father rapapist. Maybe we could do that. Maybe we could try there. And then also, Ashton's not, like, Brittany's not the only person that Ashton was connected to that died mysteriously and weirdly in the whole situation. Look up this woman. And he did also connect pretty much directly. He was, they were doing some kind of movie. I forget which one it was called. I can't, not off the top of my head. But these connect, this that people don't know as much about. And then connecting back to the Brittany Murphy, which also connects back to the Diddy, which connects back to the beep, and all these people. So, yeah, I need more room. I'm gonna need more room. Andy Dick, I feel like he's like the keeper of the keys. He knows some shit, and he just doesn't give a fuck. He's out there doing dumb shit all the time, and don't give no fucks, and that's okay. I think, if as long as he's not doing bad things to children, do what you gotta do. But he knows some shit, and that's why he's, like, consistently in a stupor. We'll sit down on the sidewalk and smoke crack with a homeless guy. Like, that's where he's at. And, that's not great. That's really not great. But, what? He's the keeper of some secrets. He knows some shit. And he don't want to die either. But it's hard to stay alive when you carry so many secrets that you can't just speak it. Like, look how much better Drake Bell got. And he went and got help. He's been doing good things. And it's like they broke the cycle. Maybe, just maybe, they broke the cycle. Like, maybe we can actually break the generational curses and trauma cycles. Which, the lady in white... Let me see. Give me 1 second here. Oh. Okay, yeah, Oh, and then Lucas Haas. Yeah. This connects in with probably with the Woody Allen and the Polanski side of things. Somewhere over there. Maybe. I don't know. Some of them, too, you gotta think, like, they take what they can get for a movie to start off. Oh, but he only did, like, a handful. Okay, I'm gonna put a pin in that, too. I'll put a pin in that, too. There's some indicators there. Okay. But sometimes, like, yeah, they're in a weird movie, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're weird. They're just taking what they can get. But if when they don't have to, and they're still choosing to be in a weird movie, into weird movies like that, then you got a question, Tom Green's an interesting guy. Yeah, I don't know. Convicted in 2002? Really? Tom Green? No way. That's too bad. Maybe that's why they didn't get back together. And he's Canadian too. Where the fuck am I? I'm so worried about what's going on down there. I need to be looking more in my backyard up here in Canada. I don't know about that. I thought, like, are you sure? I'm gonna put a pin in that, and I'm gonna look into that too. Because as much as I don't want to believe that, it may be the truth, and it's just what it is. They funded 3 podcasts. Yeah, they did stuff like that to Aaron Carter too. Like, there was like a cyber terrorist group that ended up taking credit for his demise. That the closer I talked about that, went into that, the more I was inviting that kind of terror into my own life. So then I moved like 4 times and got better every security of every kind. And oh yeah, that was one we're gonna revisit one day, probably. I have all kinds of stuff on that still. I'll catch up with you guys here more. Yeah, Misha's on here, and of course the Olsen twins are gonna have to get on here, but that's kind of more a little bit pre-Disney. Like that sphere was built on the backs of people like the Olsen twins, unfortunately, and I kind of touched on them in the last video there, the Busfield video, in such a way. But yeah, there again, like I need more space. I need more space because there are the obvious ones like the Olsen twins and the Macaulay Culkin and like all these ones. They're the obvious ones that do need to be on here, but they need more room, and it needs to be organized so that it can connect back. And then the earlier, because there was pre-Disney, there's that too, because there's like old Hollywood, new Hollywood, but then there's how this started becoming the dominant sphere in children's entertainment. That's right. Yeah, Seabass, about the terms they make to try to discredit people thinking and questioning and using their brain and not just doing what they're told and listening and believing what they're told. Anybody that questions the official narrative? Yeah, Ryan O'Neal also, his daughter, Tatum O'Neal, had been trespassed upon by the live-in dealer of Ryan O'Neal when she was like 12. And his 17-year-old girlfriend both of them were starting to be a hassle for him, apparently. So Ryan O'Neal sent them to go visit Polanski. And Polanski showed them very weird material. And they went off, and there was a whole other thing from there. I won't go right into it, but that all needs to find its way onto the map. That will fit in. But then that connects to Corey Feldman, too, in a way, because Tatum and Drew and Corey Feldman did a drug PSA together at the facility. Drew stayed for 18 months, and they were both active in addiction still at the time. And then Tatum had 5 years sobriety, but she ended up getting sucked right back in. It was a whole fucking thing. But that all connects in. But anyways, with Melanie Griffith, Ryan O'Neal's girlfriend, Tatum O'Neal, Maria Schneider, look that one up, too. There's a whole thing over there. But he literally sent them over to visit Polanski. Like, he'll straighten you out. So there's the Woody Allen of it all. But you want to talk about Ryan O'Neal, there's so much more there. THX. Norm Macdonald said that I believe that Design Rhythm. Yeah, a lot of that shit happens here. It's like, it's fucked up. There's a lot of fucked up shit that's going on everywhere. Like, if you look up, like, what was it? Headley, I think, was Canadian. What's the other guy? Fuck, there is ones, but, like, there's so much going on in the bigger sphere. There's so many giants, and then it all will connect back to that all eventually, too. It does all fit in here. He was actually, Tom Green and Russell Brand were at the party. There's a certain party that happened that this guy threw that a lot of weird shit happened after. Actually, let's go back over here. This guy. The same party that some of these people, Tequila was there, and then Casey Johnson, which was the heiress to the Johnson & Johnson baby oil people. She was at the party. There was... it was just there's something weird on that one party. But Tom Green and Russell Brand were there, and they've talked about Russell doing the egg test. So I don't know. I know that there's something there too, but it's like, that's still just like such external to the main sphere in a way, Yep. That also. But if you look up Tatum O'Neal, Melanie Griffith and Maria Schneider, and I believe like all of that was like opium induced and then to be used as blackmail against them. But then they were like more open about it, and then it was fine. And Tatum's okay now. I don't know how Melanie Griffith turned out actually, but whew. Anyways, I gotta get more coffee, and because I think I'm caught up now. I caught up with the chat. We're good. And give you guys a couple moments to take 5, stretch, and absorb that. Because, I think I was getting a little heated there. Get a little fired up. Yeah, Paper Moon was kind of weird. And she was one of the youngest Academy Award winners. And her father struck her in the face to congratulate her, basically. Like, not quite exactly like that, but there was an altercation. You should read her book. What's it called? She did a book. Tatum O'Neal did a book, and there's a lot in there. And it's actually, I go into it in the Drew Barrymore video. It might be in the second part. But the Drew is still, I have another third part of that to finish. I have the last episode of Brittany Murphy to finish. I have so much stuff that I was already working on still, even before the Reiner thing. But it all ties in, so it's fine. It's all good. Yeah, he was jealous or something. Like, it was some kind of altercation, but basically he was jealous. And instead of congratulating her and being proud of her, he struck her in the face. Yeah, Brooke Shields needs to get in here too. The Playboy of it all needs to get in here too. That would be its own big sphere, because that was a whole pipeline. Like, in a lot of the early adult entertainment industry was done under duress. And this friggin' guy, where is it? Goes back to the Epstein list. May as well bring it over too so you guys can see. One sec. Where did it go? I can't find you. No, there you are. Fuck, I don't know. But on the Trump map, oh, here it is. On this map, this guy was an integral part of fighting for your right to see adult films that have genuine rape. Under duress. She was under duress. The one woman in a film called Deep Throat was under duress. And it was one of the most celebrated fucking movies. They played it in theaters. This is when they were doing adult films in theaters and premieres and stuff for that. But then people realized how weird that fucking was. But the golden age of everything there, like, that's all got to fit in. The Playboy pipeline, the whole... Because Brooke's mother sold her to Playboy. And then she tried to fight right before she was becoming an adult. I think she was 17 when she first filed the claim to the court, to the Superior Court, and then she was like going into adulthood and could take control of her own affairs back from her mother, who was fucking, let's not even start about that woman. But she tried to have those pictures and everything taken into distribution, and the judge, they voted against it. There was a vote, I guess, and they said, oh no, there's too much artistic merit to the softcore child harm material created of you when you were 10 that you couldn't possibly have consented to. So no, we're going to keep that in circulation. You have no say in your body as a child. Fucking dirty, rotten scoundrels. So yes, absolutely, that's going to make it on the list also. That's a big part of it. Yeah, like, it's a narcissistic cult matrix, and you want to have the shine, and you want to be able to have pride about your child and brag about them, but then you're also trying to hinder their shine at the same time because you can't have them outshine you. Very narcissistic cult matrix. Very, very all in there with that. But yeah, so, like, let's take 2 minutes. I'm going to get another coffee here, and if you're going to use the facilities or whatever, you guys stretch your legs for 2 minutes. Let that all absorb and simmer for a minute, because that was an awful lot of darkness for the first, hour. Throwing a lot at you guys, and I don't want to cause trauma by discussing the trauma. We're just here to point out the trauma anomalies. We're not trying to cause a trauma apocalypse. Alright, we'll be right back. And we're back. The 8-bit orchestra, yeah. Yep. Yeah, you guys like that one, eh? It's not too bad. We'll fiddle around. I'll get some other ones going. We'll have a couple ones to like cycle through or whatever. You guys are dancing along, right on. Yeah, it's kind of growing on us, eh? Growing on you guys too. But yeah, so there's like, and I'm gonna have to go through now too, yeah, and like color code these, the TW theory, like which ones are yellow, which ones are orange, to start getting a little more of an idea there. This one's kind of yellow. It's weird about the online stuff is weird. They have him doing like an interaction online and like lying about ages online. Like it's just unsafe stuff that shouldn't even be in a movie that kids are gonna watch. It's a little interesting, but then it also connects to a lot of weird people, so we'll put that one. Like on pretty much all, like almost all of them that I have on here right now are TW theory in such a way. These ones fully, definitely. Like, how about trauma? Putting the kid, just having the kid in the movie is a freaking trauma, man. With some of these ones. This one has a woman, the mother, tasting the nighttime emission on a sock because he's like trying to figure out what was going on, and he brought his sock down and she tastes it and she's like, oh, you're blah blah blah. Like that's how they have the talk. It's fucked up. And I don't think that's like a kid's movie per se, but Bughole, Misha, wonder why she was having a fucking time. Yeah, look up Skip Parts, and Drew Barrymore was in that, and it was by this woman, and like there's, oh, you can't even see the, hold on, I gotta flip the thing back on, you guys can't see it. Can't see the map. This whole section in here, I'll have to start, yeah, putting the indicators of what's a TW theory movie and what's just happens to be the connection, but we're not sure, and you know, because there's all those ones in between us. But this one connects to back to a red dot and connects back to Drew, and it's all gonna be, there's more. There is more to fill in, but like I'm very quickly finding out that I've boxed myself in, and there's way more dots, red dots and orange dots that need to fit in between all of this. So we'll be, yeah, I'll be starting to port it over to this more organized with these little nodes, because they are helpful. It's gonna make it a little easier, and this all needs to make its way all in together too. Circus dance for the clown world. Are you guys doing a circus dance? You guys are funny. You guys are awesome. What a great group. I mean, we gotta be able to keep the comedic relief and being able to shed light on the dark while we're in the dark. Still have the lightness shining through. The International Clown Convention. Oh no. Oh shit. But yeah, I guess we'll just chit-chat for another little bit here. I think that was probably like I think that was everything that I updated anyways. We got up to date on what I added anyway. I added more over here too. In this section, how this is all directly connected, which Drew pretty much directly connects back to the Busfield thing too, in a way, unfortunately. Not that she's bad, but like that Donnie Darko, she was trying to say shit with the Donnie Darko thing for how 2 degrees of separation she is from this. She did that movie. I don't know if you guys realize that was one of her first movies she did as a production for herself, for her own production company, and she took a great risk. She put her own money in and took a very big risk on the guy just being a fresh graduate, and it was like his graduate screenplay. Took a huge risk on it, and it ended up being like total fucking classic, like Donnie Darko saying so much shit. But she did that movie, and when you look at how, like, she did the Poison Ivy movie with Sarah Gilbert, who's the sister of Melissa Gilbert, who was the wife of Tony Busfield. And you gotta remember, all these people were doing it for like 30 years. So she was like 25, 30, something like that, when she was doing Donnie Darko. It's like she was trying to tell us something. She was already trying to tell us, you know? In such a way. So she's a big part of this too. Like, I did the first couple parts, of that documentary part of it. Which, yeah, I still have a third part to finish on that one, so we'll get there eventually too. But every time I'm getting almost near finishing something, there's something else happens, so I'm kind of always juggling. Every day I'm juggling. Ew, I didn't know about that, Seabass, but I knew that he was like a cokehead and a weirdo a little bit. And I know that they were treating what was called, they were calling it hysterical, like when women were showing signs of trauma, basically. They would call them hysterical. Like Ophelia, if you know the story of Ophelia. She'd be going hysterical, and like one of the ways to treat hysteria was masturbation. And the doctor invented the vibrator. And yeah, to try to fix the hysteria of it all. So however you take that, however you'd like, but it's kind of fucked up. But it checks out. It checks out what you're saying, Seabass, about Freud. I believe that he was a fucking weirdo. Oh, for sure. Well, he was shell shocked at 7, and that's like complex post-traumatic stress disorder is normally only suffered by veterans, right? But like we're starting to realize that heavy-duty psychological trauma or physical harms, trespasses, all that stuff, like that causes shell shock in a way, right? A lot of the forefathers of everything, psychology, mental health, like health in general, doctors, all of that, all the forefathers of society were on lots of drugs and were just a bunch of fucking weirdos, to be honest. Like, if you look up the Kinsey theory thing, look up John Money, and he's the forefather of gender ideology, and figure that one out of maybe why we got to where we got, where we're mutilating little kids. Because I don't think that's necessary. There's a reason they can't vote, they can't get a tattoo, they can't drive, they can't drink, but you can decide what gender you want for the rest of your life before you've even used those parts to know for sure what you fucking even like. Why are we talking about gender and orientation and all these things with little kids to begin with? Probably weird. Look up John Money and exactly how that all started. And not to say that people like that I hate or have a problem, or that, you know, I don't care what adults want to do to themselves or whatever to each other. I'm not here to kink shame. I'm not here to, you know, spread any hate or minimize any other group or minority or sect. But if it's harms or trespasses coming to children in a way that, you know, if it all falls under that umbrella, then we're going to talk about it, you know? And again, you decide how to feel about it for yourself. I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'll tell you what I know and what I think about it in some of it. And then you guys decide for yourselves. I'm not here to tell you what to think. That's the problem. A lot of people want that, like, in this society today, maybe not you guys are thinkers, which is great, but a lot of people want to be told what to think, and the people telling them what to think are not great people, and that's the problem today. One of the big problems today. But yeah, Will Smith, yeah, that directly ties with Tommy Lee Jones and with the Men in Black franchise, which actually connects directly back to Reiner also. That's another big connection, this Barry Sonnenfeld guy, and he connects to... Oh, like, that was another big one that I was like, oh, I never even heard of this fucking guy. Who the fuck are you? But the way that he kind of fits into the Between Us, there's more connections I got to add on there, but he's a big connector between some things. Is he? Will Smith's a member of NAMBLA? See, that, I think we should be allowed to know who the members of that are so we can make informed decisions of who we support politically and in the industry and in anything. I think that's something that we should have. Let's talk about the age of disclosure. You know, Iceberg want to put out his age of disclosure movie? No, we know there's fucking aliens. We don't give a shit about the aliens. We want to know how many of you are fucking creeps so you can be canceled. Right? Yeah, like if people want to do things to their body, they want to do cosmetic surgery. Like, there's a reason they're not giving 14-year-old bulimia patients liposuction. You want to become an adult and you want to go get liposuction, do what you're going to fucking do. But they're not giving teenagers liposuction for a reason. So why are we mutilating their genitals? Why are we getting puberty blockers and shit that is not reversible? They're out there telling people it's reversible. That shit's not reversible. They're lying to you. There's no law against them lying to you. The farmers and everybody else in between, the big tech, all these people. There's no laws of the media, like, against the media lying to you. And they're totally immune. Like, the farmers are immune to injuries and harms caused by whatever experimental weird shit they're doing to people and to kids and to everything, everybody. But that all connects over, like, when we're looking at this map, the Trumpstein map, When you get into like the Silicon Valley and these little companies over here, and the farmers, they're all in there too. And then the way that this all connects, like this is the topper of the iceberg in a way too, you know? It all connects in, it all connects together, and we're gonna get a clearer picture of it as we go. Luckily, because this shit is messed up. There's something really wrong. There's a reason people ending their lives is rapidly increasing in rates, and the mental unwellness. Like, there's so many problems. We got the opioid apocalypse, we got the Trump apocalypse, we got too many apocalypses happening right now to not throw the brakes on and be like, all right, what are we doing now? We gotta do something different. Let's try doing something different. 100 years, we've been doing things a certain way. Maybe there's a better way. Maybe we stop listening to people like Freud and Carl Jung and, you know, all these other forefathers of we were on cocaine when we decided what's best for you psychologically. The rapapist. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, like, all of that's a form of grooming. Like, you shouldn't even be having that conversation with a child. Like, if anybody is having that conversation with your child and being like, oh, but there's a secret group, you can go join this private group and be part of it, and don't tell your parents. Like, that's how groomers touch your children. Like, that's literally the same playbook. And maybe they're not trying to touch your children, they're just trying to mutilate your children. But, like, no. We don't need to do that. Why are we doing that? Like, everyone should have the freedom to be and do what they'd like with their own bodies, and if it's not causing harm to anyone else or them, whatever, you know. If you're going with a good heart and good intentions, do what you're gonna do. But there's just a lot of really awful things happening to kids, and I can't stand by and keep just like watching it happen and not saying anything, you know. Yeah, man. And then those are like minority groups. Cheetah Man, good to see you, buddy. Those are the minority groups that come, like, that they can pluck people from for random experiments, and if they disappear, nobody really cares because nobody's looking for them. You know, you got to think of all these expendable people that people don't care about, but all of those people are generally people that were really suffered a lot in childhood, had a complex trauma, and then were lost in the system and mistreated and like not properly cared for in the system. And no wonder they get to be adults and don't know how to function in the world, carrying all that horrifying trauma, and then trying to just be like a normal fucking person. Like, this is why people have self-medication issues, and this is why people start lashing out or having different problems, different mental health issues, right? It's what it is. Yeah, because it goes both sides. Like, you think some of these TW Theory movies, in a way, not only is it trauma for the kids in it, it's trauma for kids watching it, because you're just watching some kids movie, like, no problem, and then, like, why do I have kids junk in my face? Why is there a half-naked kid and they're junk in my face for 10 minutes of this fucking movie? Why do they have to have the kids naked? Like, that's weird. That's weird. Why do I have to see half-naked kids? Like, and it's no plot of the movie at all. Like, it's not necessary for the plot of the overall movie at all, whatsoever. There's no creative merit, you know? Well, and you got to think about it. People are like, oh, like, you have to be inclusive because blah, 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 including all of the things, right? But it's a heteronormative agenda. Because it's like, oh, okay, well, you can't be binary, you can't be gay. You just need to be that other gender and be like, it's a heteronormative agenda. Like, androgyny and shit has existed for fucking, like, 50 some odd years or more. Like, look at David Bowie, you know, look at Freddie Mercury. All these people that were just allowed to be themselves and weren't forced one way or another. Then we have Alexis Arquette. Why don't we look up Alexis Arquette? Because that actually ties in pretty close to the Brittany Murphy of it all. Why don't you look up that situation and how they were forced to push the agenda and do the documentary, and they ended up just deciding to be like, fuck it, and let the infections and the diseases inside as a result of all of it consume them, and just said, fuck it. Didn't really want to, didn't want to do this, didn't want to conform one way or the other. They were able to exist in the industry as both. Alexis Arquette did a bunch of Sandler movies, but then also as a male appeared in the movie Spun. If you look up Spun, that's one of the Brittany Murphy movies, and that was one of the reasons why everyone just thought she was a drug addict, because she played in these movies so well. Like, she played that part so well. But if you look up Spun, look up Alexis Arquette, look up that whole situation, rabbit hole. That's a whole another thing. And you got to think, farmers need farm animals to stay in business. So if they can make a lifetime customer of you at 7, 8, 9 years old, like, they're winning. They're winning in their mind. They're getting all the incentives. They get kickbacks for all the new wonder drugs, you know, pushing them on their people, on their, like, they want you to have a family doctor, and they want you to be in this little, like, controlled sphere where they can just keep pumping you full of experimental shit, and you don't know the difference. And what do they know? They're listening to a drug rep that's coming through and being like, yeah, we'll give you $40,000 if you can prescribe 100 patients with this new wonder drug, and they don't give a fuck what the side effects. Oh, people are depressed. They're going to come in depressed, and they may have side effects of harm against oneself or others, but they might feel a little less depressed. And, like, they're supposed to be the deciding factor if the bad outweighs the good, and expect you to read the 5,000 lines of small print in the box and not just trust their family doctor. Of course they're going to trust their family doctor. Right? So, yeah, and that all connects. I did a video about it, about how that connects to the Reiner, the BuzzFeed connects to the Reiner, all these weird things happening right now. And then the Morgan Freeman, we talked about that in the Victoria Jones Nick Reiner video. It's just before, in the Nick Reiner coverage playlist, it's just before the BuzzFeed video. So if you haven't watched that yet, this connects in a super big way. Like, these are not coincidences. They're not coincidences. Connect in a super big way back to BuzzFeed, back to Reiner, back to the whole ecosystem of it all. Not a coincidence. Well, then if everyone's also going to be depressed because they can no longer use their parts, they can't reach climax, they can never orgasm again, like, they'll never even know that free pleasure that is free for all and costs nothing. They'll never know it. They'll never even know what they're missing. They can't ever have it to begin with. And then that also, like, did you notice that a lot of drugs make it that's also a difficulty? So, okay, you're not going to be depressed, but you might want to hurt yourself and others, and you'll never be able to reach climax again. Cool. Let's all sign up for that. Like, but then you're not sad, though. I won't be sad about it. Like, no, you're gonna be sad, and it's gonna be a trauma type thing that's bubbling up beneath the surface until you snap. Like, we started to wonder why people started snapping in the early 2000s, and why the frequency and intensity of serial killers were happening. See if any of that lines up with any kind of farmer history, maybe. You know, is the farmer in the dell? I don't know. Hi-ho the Dario. Farmer in the dell. Yeah, I don't know. That's a whole thing. Because you do got to remember, like, people can just become another character. Some of these deaths may have been a fake situation, so they could just become another character. Some people have been drawing some similarities between Brittany Murphy and Ariana Grande, and they are undeniable. And even when I did include her in part 6 of the Brittany Murphy thing, and honestly, if she could be still living and doing her music and just living a different life now and being her doing a thing, like, great. But then also, obviously, Ariana Grande is also having a struggle. So whether the same person or not, it's the same common denominator of truth. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, there's also that though, because there's like that Uncle Pappy or whatever. People think that might be Robin Williams living a different life. And have just, like, this is how you retire completely from the industry and be able to just go back to being a normal person. There is that. And the amount that I hope and pray, because I don't pray, I'm not religious, but that would be something, like, I really hope that a good amount of these red dots are actually just living a different life somewhere and being fine, being just fine. I really hope. But, you know, in some cases, I think it was a silencing. And maybe that was the choice. Either we're going to silence you or you're going to take a new life now. Or something, you know? We do need to consider this also. Take that into consideration. Because, like, you can see what they can do with the masks and the makeup and all the stuff. Like, we know that people can become a whole different person just for the sake of Hollywood movies. Like, if they wanted to just live as another person and be out in public still, there's ways to do that. Like, because once you're globally famous, how do you go anywhere without having people following you around and doing the paparazzi? And eventually you're going to get sick of that. Eventually people get tired of that. And if they got the money to do it, to go and remove themselves and do the witness protection program type thing, because that exists. We know that exists. So I hope to goodness that people like Brad Renfro and River Phoenix and, you know, Kurt Cobain, all these people were just doing a elaborate theatrical exit so they could go on and live their life outside of the sphere. John Ritter, Robin Williams, you know, Brittany Murphy, even the littler guys, Rodney Harvey, the Justin Pierce and Harold, like these kids that didn't want to be in it to begin with. Like, they weren't going to auditions. They weren't going looking to be child stars. Hollywood came to them and found them on the street because they wanted them trauma and vulnerable. And then they chewed them up and spit them out. And, like, Brad Renfro, which got sucked right into this den. This P3DO den. Like, I hope to goodness that maybe none of them are dead. And they're all, like, well, maybe some of them are dead now, like, naturally. But that they went off to just live different lives. That would be fantastic. I would love that. I would love to be that to be the great reveal at the end of the day. That would be fantastic. Would love that. Michelle Trachtenberg. But she died right before the Spiral movie. She was doing a movie, an interesting movie right near the end also, that had appeared at festivals but never made it to, like, we'll never see it. We'll never see that movie. But it was spelt Spiral, and it was about mental health and trauma and all this stuff, but spelt like Spiral, but with, like, Harriet the Spy. But it wasn't necessarily about her life, but it kind of was, like, an interesting thing that was supposed to come out, but then she just died. And she connects back to Brittany Murphy. She connects to the whole sphere. So, I mean, it's as much as I would love to believe they're still with us and just moved on, and maybe she went to, I don't know, but the timing of certain things is more seeming like a silencing than, you know? Yeah, well, Bijou's on here, and, like, that's all gonna get on there, Jenny. Or, who said it about, yeah, Jenny, about Mackenzie Phillips. Yeah, that's all gonna get on here, too, at some point. But, yeah, and then there's, like, the mega church stuff, which actually I just put another big dot on the Trumpstein that he was just arrested, and only serving 6 months, of course. But this guy, big mega church guy, guru, spiritual leader, very tightly close to this guy. I don't know if you can see this, hold on. Let me move this over. Very, very tight. And this guy, so it's weird that he had so many people into children around him, but wants us to believe he had he had distanced himself from Epstein and didn't want him at the club. Like, yeah, you publicly distanced yourself, but you have this guy, and this guy, well, this allegation, and this guy that is a known predator doing your liaison between the royalty and the money fucking whatever. This guy. So you want us to believe you publicly distanced Epstein because of his interactions with teenage girls, but you surround yourself by these kind of people? That's cool. And then you owned these teen pageants, all the main teen pageants, for forever, for like the longest time. All the main ones, controlled them. 1996, 2015, had sole ownership and control between 2003, 2015. Cool. Interesting. And all your little buddies here? All these buddies? All your buddy guys? Yeah, 2 degrees of separation from all kinds of sick buddy guys. But you're innocent. You didn't do anything. Epstein wasn't a terrific guy. You didn't have all kinds of parties together. He wasn't 5 minutes up the fucking road from Mar-a-Lago in a mansion that you could swim to. Shoot a golf ball into his yard. That's the 19th hole there. You just go right over and across to Epstein's mansion. Yeah, Kenyo needs to get on here. He connects to a lot of stuff. That would be like its whole own other map. Like, we could do just like a Predator map. Like, from all the way back to go all the way back. Like the Presidio and the McMartin Preschool and the Hampstead and all these weird military weird things going on. That definitely they weren't doing techniques and application. After learning for 30 years all these techniques through the umbrella, we're going to believe that they just shut it all down. The experiments were over and they just never used any of those techniques, except that they did in the Kubark Intelligence Interrogation Manual was absolutely the techniques learned doing MK Ultra. So you don't think there's other handbooks out there for different levels of industry and governments and so on and so forth? Like, this is the stuff we can prove. We can hear survivor stories all day long, but we can never know for sure with some people, right? But what we know for sure is they absolutely were using techniques that they learned during the MK experiments. Okay, you know, like Mr. Mackey. That's how we got to say that. But those experiments, that they learned all those techniques for 30 years, and they absolutely were putting them into practical application. The military absolutely was. And there were meetings between military, religious, political, all these figures back in the 80s, and all kinds of weird shit started happening between the 80s and the 90s, and now we're seeing a lot of detonation. All these people in their late 20s, early 30s right now, either exploding or imploding. All the detonations are going off. Toria Jones, Nick Reiner, for example. So what the fuck was going on in the 80s and the 90s? You know, there's something going on there. And it might be related to the MK of it all. It's easy, MK. But yeah, that's like the long and short of that. I think that was pretty much, that's a good little session for tonight. Dumped a lot of darkness right on your plate. Let you guys finish eating that before we get on to the next. We don't want to overload you. Everything in moderation, right? Even with the darkness. We can go stare it right in the eye, but you don't want the abyss to stare back. Just search MK. Actually, search Operation Paperclip. Just start there. Maybe just start there, because I think there's a lot of history that none of you guys are ever taught in school, because they don't ever teach you all the reality of it all. It's all, well, you know, Robert Maxwell was in charge of your textbooks, so I wonder what you guys were learning. I don't know. Probably not the truth. Look up Operation Paperclip, and then you tell me what MK means. Or don't. I don't know. Do what you want. Follow the yellow brick, or whatever red brick road you want. But yeah, I think that was probably good. I think that was probably a good little session. Could probably leave it at that for now. And yeah, I still got some stuff to organize here and work around. So sometime between it all, we'll be moving over to this this type of map, a little more organized and a little more with the color coding that makes a little more sense. And where it all connects back. We'll get there. We're gonna get there, and then this all is gonna connect. This all connects up. So if you didn't watch the Trumpstein, we started the Trumpstein My Map lives. I'm gonna have to make another playlist for that too. We're gonna have too many playlists, so I'll have to organize those too. The road, yeah, it's not just red anymore. It's red and brown. Yeah, it is dirty, mucky, yucky. MK, yeah, MK, yes. We're just, we're creating our own language. We're creating our own language. Yep. To tune in. Yeah, it's his little antennas. That's so funny. Well, you notice they point up? That's kind of interesting. Anyway, yeah, I guess we'll leave it at that. I don't know. Any more questions, comments, concerns? Speak now or forever hold your peace. So I'm going to finish this Brittany Murphy. This Brittany Murphy video, I freaking found this friggin' video I've been looking for years. And it's the video, but it's corrupted. The file's corrupted, so when you try to download it from the thing, and now it doesn't even play on the one site anymore, which is really weird. But I downloaded it, but parts of it are corrupt, so I have to go through and clip the bits out of it, because then when I try to render the video, it's distorted and fucked up. Like, I don't know how, I don't even know, I've never experienced that before with dealing with old archived media or digital anything. Like, it's a fight back I've never seen before in a way, and it's weird, and I don't know if it's just coincidence or what, but it is a piece of media I've been looking for years that goes with the Brittany Murphy video. And but if I clip out all the distortion and if I can get it, time it just right, then I can make it a complete file, as close to complete as possible, and still salvage the bits of it that I need. But I have to go through, like, it's a whole fucking process to try to salvage that. So that's kind of where I'm stuck right now. But other than that, it's all coming together. And as I'm putting together the map, filling in the Brittany Murphy parts of the map, that's a big part of the final episode that brings it all together. And it's all connected in. It all connects. So I'm gonna try to get that done as soon as I can. But yeah, it's just sometimes you're running into different technical problems and issues along the way, because the truth fights back. Sometimes it's not even. Sometimes it is just coincidence, but it's just, I don't know. It's just what it is. It's all part of it. Yeah, you get it, THX. You guys get it. You'll figure out what the language is as we go. It's all pretty much like, yeah, you'll get it. It's not too complicated at all, but... Well, an Operation Midnight Climax. Look that one up next. And tell me that's not Diddy and the Den and the Epstein and all of them. That wasn't the precursor to basically what they're doing. What they've been doing now for however many years. Look up Operation Midnight Climax. There's your answer to a lot of things. Just right there. Just that on its own. And Paperclip. And then we'll come back for the next one and we'll talk about it more. And it means, of course it does. Of course it does. I believe that. But yeah, so you guys stay safe out there. I hope you enjoy the rest of your the week here. What do we got? Tomorrow's Friday? Yeah, for the most part. Well, not for all of you. Some of you might be somewhere else in the world that it's not. Might already be Friday for you, and if that's the case, happy Friday. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. And yeah, got some homework, so maybe we'll wait another day or so before we jump on with my map some more. We'll do it this weekend or whatever, so I can go full force and just finish this Brittany Murphy video, because it's literally been 3 years in the making, and every time I'm almost done it, things get in the way. And now I know why, because it was very interconnected with the Diddy thing, but now that whole thing is wide open, and with the Ashton and all of that, it all connects. It all connects in a huge way, and it all connects to this, so it's very important I get that done too. So I'll take it a couple days, push that through before we do the next mind map. But yeah, you guys got some movies to check out. Check out Rosemary's Baby and Eyes Wide Shut. Because if you look at the party going on at Mar-a-Lago right now, and then what happened to Kubrick when he didn't want to cut the stuff to do with the child traffic jams out of that movie, check out that movie, Eyes Wide Shut, because that's happening right now. That's literally happening right now. They're having a furry Victorian party, like a let them eat cake, but in furry costumes. Not even shitting you. Not even shitting you. Go look up on Twitter, because it's probably nowhere else. I don't trust Meta. Meta don't gonna tell you enough that never, ever. But on Twitter, all day today I was seeing the Eyes Wide Shut party they're having at Mar-a-Lago in furry outfits with Victorian attire, but with furry costumes. And if that's not the level of degradation that we've got to, so that's not saying it without saying it, but while fully saying it with your eyes wide shut, it's all the more reason to keep them open, guys, because that's some shit. That's some shit, I'm telling you. There's a reason most of those conventions are banned from most major cities, the furry conventions. Look up the furry, what was it, Seattle 2015? Look that up. And then look at The Shining. In The Shining with the dog, The Shining is part of this also. Well, we're going to pick that up later, though, too. That's way too much homework. Pick out of the fun grab bag of homework that you guys have of all the movies and the things that we discussed here. But definitely look up Operation Midnight Climax and tell me that's not diddlating information. Anyways, yeah. So you guys have a good one. We will catch you when we catch you, probably on the flip side. Yeah, all right. We'll do the outro. Make sure to like, hype, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you on the flip side.
Red bricks crumble under my feet, a path that whispers a cursed heartbeat. Shadows stretch long, they know my name. Every step forward, it's all the same. The trees lean in, they're alive tonight. The moon's too scared to give me light. Follow the red brick road, they said. Where it leads, where it ends, no one's fled. It pulls, it drags, it swallows whole. The red brick road's got a price for your soul. Laugh trapped in a dream. The wolves don't howl, they just stare. Their eyes burn bright, they don't care. Follow